Good morning, everybody. I am Philip Crampton. I'm President of the CIF, and I'd like to welcome you to the first ever Public Procurement in Ireland conference organised by the Construction Industry Federation. We are absolutely delighted that so many of you have joined us here this morning for what we believe will be an engaging and stimulating discussion on how the public procurement process for the construction sector is handled in this country. This conference has been arranged so that it provides a platform for all those interested in public procurement. We want to ensure that everybody attending this conference today gets a 360-degree view of the issue by the time we finish up at lunchtime today. This is why we have speakers representing all facets of the industry, from the state contracting authorities to architects, chartered surveyors, the legal industry, as well as main and subcontractors. By the time we finish up at approximately 1 o'clock today, we hope everyone present will have developed a very thorough understanding on how public procurement works in this country, or maybe doesn't work. Over the next few hours, we'll be looking at the mechanisms that are currently in place, how construction projects are delivered, the levels of quality and efficiency that exist within the system at present, how the different sides of the process experience the system, and how satisfactory outcomes can be promoted for construction clients, contractors, and the wider supply chain. We want to look at what is working and what is not, and if it's not working, how can we improve it? We are delighted to have top quality speakers joining us today who will bring a deep level of understanding as well as vast knowledge and experience around every aspect of public procurement. While many of these will be steeped in the Irish procurement process, we thought it also important to take a look at best practice elsewhere. To that end, we couldn't have hoped to secure two better speakers, both of whom are extremely familiar with UK public contracts. We're honoured to be joined by Steve Rousell, who was Head of Procurement with the UK Highways Agency from 2000 to 2007. To say Steve has a keen understanding of the vagaries of the procurement process is a vast understatement, and I know I'm very much looking forward to his contribution today. Before Steve's contribution, we'll also be joined by Mr. Paul Morell, OBE, who was the Chief Construction Advisor to the UK Government and who only stepped down that role last year. Paul understands the construction industry better than anyone. He'll be able to discuss the myriad of problems they encountered in the public procurement process, how they adapted to resolve these issues, and what we could be doing in Ireland to improve our system. I won't go through every speaker we have lined up today. As you can see from the biographies and the handout materials, these are people who really know what they're talking about. But I'm really looking forward to hearing the various contributors and the detailed perspective they all will provide. But before handing over to our first speaker, I was hoping to take a few minutes to talk about the view on public procurement from the perspective of the CIF. Public procurement is at the very core of the construction sector activity in the current environment. It has always been an important aspect of our industry, but it has taken on even greater significance in recent years. With our industry having gone through 6 consecutive years of decline, public sector contracts have become one of the strongest sources of work. Conservatively, more than 50% of the construction activity that was carried out last year was on public contracts. Over 2,500 public sector contracts were placed during 2012. That's a huge number given the level of activity that currently exists within the construction sector. Since the current form of contract was introduced in 2007, approximately 10,000 of these contracts have been used. Yet a significant number of these contracts continue to experience problems. We've been seeing this trend for years. Many of the public contracts are running into difficulty. All sides of the procurement process are experiencing snags with the system. The state, architects, chartered surveyors, the legal profession, as well as main subcontractors. This may seem like a sectoral matter, but the impact is being widely felt. People all around the country are running into issues caused by the way public procurement process operates. It's delaying the construction of schools, hospitals, and dozens of other public contracts. It's wasting the state's limited finances and misusing taxpayers' money. All this is happening because the system is flawed and broken. What's worse is the system could never have succeeded because of the way it was set up. Construction projects should be a partnership. Traditionally in Ireland, that was always the culture that existed. We were operating a partnership system model before the term was even invented. The various interested parties would work together to ensure that they delivered a successful outcome which benefited all sides. But the current government form of construction contract has changed that culture. It has made the system adversarial. It encourages conflict between the various parties, and that is what's causing these delays. It's also preventing construction companies being paid what they are due. When the current public construction contracts were introduced by the then government, they were meant to bring more certainty to projects in terms of cost and time. The idea was that payment for the project would be fixed, but in return, detailed plans for the project would be provided at tender stage. Unfortunately, while the price has been fixed, in practice, the information supplied at tender stage has not. As things stand, contractors are regularly asked to price projects for designs that are not fully developed. They're asked to submit prices on tenders that omit pertinent and important information. Then, once work gets underway, these deficits of information come to light. When the contractor raises these problems, they are told they accepted all the risks when they signed up to the project and so won't be compensated. So much for the certainty that was promised. The only certainty is contractors and subcontractors are being abused. As in many construction contracts, parties to Irish public contracts agree that all disputes will be settled in arbitration. To make matters even worse, our process actually requires that the contractor commits to paying his own and possibly the state's arbitration cost, irrespective of the outcome. I ask, how can that be fair? These are just a couple of the issues that exist within the procurement process, and I'm sure we'll hear about a lot more during the course of the various contributions. But the good news is that all these issues can be fixed. All of these problems could be avoided if the process was amended. Many of today's contributors will be putting forward practical solutions when they highlight problems that exist in the system. The challenge is to get these solutions implemented. When the current contract came into effect in 2007, there was an agreement that a review would take place within 3 years to see how the system was working. By 2010, the thinking was that insufficient data existed to carry out such a review. Fast forward another 3 years and all that has changed. We now have detailed information. We've seen in great detail where the process is failing all the different parties. On that basis, CIF asked the government to set up a review process, and they've agreed to do that in the coming months. Hopefully, this review will take on board a lot of the issues raised here today. We hope this conference will provide a strong platform for all sides of the process to express their views on how we can improve things. Ultimately, we all want to ensure fewer public projects break down. We all want the government construction contracts to function in the way they were meant to. We all want the system returned to partnership culture and to end the adversarial nature that has crept into our process. CIF hopes that the promised review will be extensive and inclusive. We, for our part, can promise everyone here today that we will take a responsible, active and constructive part in it. We hope that this conference will demonstrate the absolute necessity for such a review and hopefully give it the kickstart it deserves.